Okay, I clicked the button and it brought up the little red screen that says I'm live. So maybe I'm live. And I've always wondered when I go live, why, like on YouTube, it says it's time to be live and waiting on me and that type of stuff. But StreamYard doesn't show that it's time to be live yet. And I've just figured it out watching like the seconds click down and stuff like that. YouTube says wait, switches to the waiting for screen at 45 seconds to go. But, whatever, 45 seconds or right on time, whatever. And there he is right at the beginning. Skull's here. Welcome in. So, wow, everybody's filing in. Zen Ginger, Cheryl. So, a few streams back, I don't remember if it was last week or 3 weeks ago or whenever it was, but I mentioned, what was the bucket list fish that I wanted. And I said the male Montezuma sword. Good news. One of my juvenile Montezuma swords back there, it has a gonopodium now. So I guess I need to pick a different bucket list. That sounds weird, bucket list. Whatever. I guess I need to pick another fish. Because it looks like I'm probably, since it has the gonopodium, it's probably a male. It doesn't have a sword yet, which is fine. We'll let it develop its sword, and hopefully we'll get a breeding colony of Montezuma swordtails. Looks like Jeff Kane came in. Hello, hello. Lurking on the drive home from the swap. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I hope you got some great stuff. Elite Menagerie Habitats. I'm thinking I recognize the name, but I'm not placing it. But welcome in. I'm horrible with names, if you haven't figured that out. I see people at my club meetings and stuff. I'm like, I know that person, but I can't think of their name. Speaking of club meetings, we had one yesterday. It was great. A lot of people said they couldn't come because of one reason or the other, and we still had one of the highest turnouts that we've had. A ton of new people showed up, and it was great. I tried my hardest not to bid on anything, but I did come home with a bag of Madaka rice fish. So, oh well, summer tub season's coming up. While I'm thinking about it, get some bluegrass bash information out there. I may have mentioned it previously. I don't know when I don't remember when I learned this and all that. But when we booked the hotel rooms at the discounted rate, we didn't book the whole hotel to get the discount rate on all the rooms, because I'm pretty sure that we will book all the rooms, but they didn't want to be like overconfident or whatever. And because whatever we told them we needed at the discounted rate, we had to, guarantee that they would be booked. And so we've had to expand the amount of rooms that we've booked at that discounted rate. So if that tells you anything about how that's going, we'll probably fill up all the rooms there and have to start pointing people towards the neighboring hotels. Moneyless Maven, Shirley's here. Welcome, welcome. Reading chat here. Rice fish and outdoor tubs, probably my favorite thing to do in summer. Yeah, that's I am itching to get summer tubs out. And today is the first day that it's warmer outside than it is in the fish room here. Besides even during the whole freeze thing. It was colder outside. So right now it's the first day that it's warmer outside than it is in the fish room. But that's not saying a whole lot. It's 82 in here right now, and it's 85 outside. But hey, that's great. It won't be long till I can get the temperatures in here balanced out to be, upper 70s, and it'll be extra warm outside, summer tubbing and all that. Jeff Kane says, I didn't book the discounted rate, just wanted to make sure I was in the same building. Yeah, the Clarion Hotel, I would say by the end of it, we'll book every room in the hotel. And there may be a few people that didn't know that the fish thing was going on and that booked a room there for a different, trip or whatever, and get surprised by, hundreds of fish people roaming around. Oh, Bruiser CB. Bruiser came in. Welcome, welcome. Reading chats. I saw somebody say hi. Somebody said hi to Steven. Did Steven come in? I must have missed him. Yep, right there. Miss Steven coming in. Welcome in. See, Cheryl says, clean the fish. Just cleaned and filled the koi pond for the season. Gotta wait until warmer temperature for matches. Yeah, I'm ready to do it. I need to redo my in-ground pond. Had some plumbing issues last year, and I need to redo that. And I'm ready to get tubs out there. And I'm itching to get stuff out there. Shirley says, I do not heat the room. Do not stand that. I keep my apartment actually a little cold. And that's in the house. I wouldn't heat the room because I too like it very cold, and I keep it warmer than I would normally like in the house because I have geckos, and I find a good medium that I'm still comfortable at. But then the bedroom, I'm like growing icicles. Vanosky's in. Welcome, Vanosky. And Steven says, no pressure, but if the bluegrass bash goes well, it could be the new clash as far as fish fam attendance. Yeah, the catch or whatever to that is where this is the ACA, ALA, IBC conventions all together. Those conventions travel around to different cities each year. So before we get something back to the Lexington area, it may be a few years. Maybe one day we will have a independent club event type thing, kind of how the Clash is that the club puts it on. It's not a ACA or AKA or ALA or any of the national conventions doing it. But if our club did that, that would be down the road a ways. I think conventions are fun, and I would love to have something like that. But it takes more than just one person to put a convention on, and convincing everyone else to do that kind of work every year or whatever might be a little bit of a challenge. So since I titled or did a little subtitle on this stream of our biggest oops moments, I think I ought to say something that way. At least I'm fitting the category of what I said I was going to talk about. So a lot of my biggest oops moments come from when I had my store. My most recent one is like, you'll probably remember when I left the water running on this tank here and left it running for 24 hours. That was a oops moment. But back when I had my pet store, and I was just opening up, and I had one of my reptile vendors in, and I was giving him the tour of the store, and I was showing him our back room where we were storing extra stock and stuff like that. And I hear a waterfall, and I look out into the main showroom, and I had forgotten that I was filling tanks, and off of the third top rack, water was just pouring out of a tank as the reptile vendor was there getting his impressions of who I was and who the store was. I'm like, oh, that's for me. I just walk up there and turn the water off. That was a oops moment for me. Cheryl says Ryan wanted me to fill the back porch tanks. I'm not putting water in glass boxes outdoors until late next month. I don't blame you a bit, because there's probably still a chance of a cold snap coming through. I hope not. I hope everything's good and warm for the rest of the year. But I've been wrong a few times before. We could get a cold snap. Shirley says, I don't have a separate room for fish. They're all over my apartment. And I have internal heat regulation issues due to the heat incident. Yeah, I totally understand that. I have almost always had tanks everywhere in the house and stuff like that. And when I had the opportunity to get a separate building here for fish, I jumped on it. The idea was to get all of the tanks out of the house. And I did for a couple months, and then they slowly started making their way back in the house. So I've got a couple tanks in the house now. But it's nice to have, most of the time, it's nice to have this building out here with separate space for all the fish. If like in the winter storm that we had where I had to walk across slick ice to get out here, that wasn't fun. I would have rather had it like in a bedroom or something. But otherwise, it's nice to be able to come out here and just get away from everything and deal with fish. $310 Aquatics came in. Welcome, welcome. Jeff Kane says the Kentucky Clash semi-annual. I mean, honestly, I would love it. Most of the people in my club, it will be their first time being at a convention, let alone helping set one up. So we'll have to give it a little time, unless we're doing it somehow like all the fish fams coming together to put it on or something. But yeah, I would love to have a annual convention in Kentucky to get everybody together. Because I mean, yeah, me being selfish or whatever, it's right here where I live. But in my mind, you could drive to Kentucky from 80% of the country in a day's drive. So that's beneficial to most of the country. I mean, you can't make it perfect for everybody. And unfortunately, like the people on the West Coast might have to take like a 2-day drive or just fly in. But, in a day's drive, 80% of the country could get here. And at where we're at, we've got east-west interstates. We're right in the center there. I think we're at a good spot for one. Let's see. Skull says, I take them down, turn them around, and put them back up because I've bought some more fish. Tanks, I guess. I've lost what we were talking about. Take them down, turn them around. Oh, okay. I'm changing words. Take them down and then turn around and put them back up. Yeah. In which I was sitting here right before the stream went live, and I'm like, measured this section over here that I've got stuff stored in and stuff like that. I'm like, I think I could fit about 20 more tanks there. So I measured it and I'm like, yeah, I might have to do that. I might have to clean all that out and build another rack system there and fit 20 more tanks. I mean, that'd be 10 and 20 gallons, but I wouldn't mind having another 20 tanks in here. Let's see. So Curtis says he'll be there early if we need help. I'm assuming, speaking to me, talking about the bash, yeah, I mean, we'll probably need help. I mean, I don't know, like, and you may say it further on down the chat, but I'm not there yet. I'm not sure when you'll be showing up, but all that week we'll be putting stuff together and packing bags and hanging posters and all that kind of stuff. Then Bruiser says if things go right this week, we'll be getting some leopard angelfish. I haven't seen them before, and then LFS got some in. Nice. I keep getting angelfish and then telling myself I don't like angelfish and finding them new homes, and then I'm out and I see angelfish. I'm like, ooh, pretty angelfish. And it comes home with me, and I'm like, why did I buy an angelfish? So I keep going through that that rotation. Nancy B in Tennessee, welcome in. I don't think I said hello to you yet. She says I can get there in 3 hours. Didn't get the days off I wanted, so I'm working through Wednesday before the bash now. That's unfortunate. So if you're working through Wednesday, does that mean you're off the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Maybe you can make it up for that. That's when the heaviest part of the excitement's going on. Nancy said she's leaving work and we'll be driving. Drive safe. Cheryl says 10s and 20s start getting some wild betas. And that's kind of what I was thinking was the beta ruber that I have now are on a bottom shelf over on that side over there in a 20. So they're down like at knee level. My knees aren't that great, so squatting down to look at them isn't something that I do much. So I haven't developed as much interest in them as I thought I would, but I think it's because of tank placement. Because I've noticed stuff I put on that level, I don't look at much and I don't get really into. Whereas like the tank that's right up here, that's at eye level, I put some pseudomagills in here. And I didn't think that I would be interested in pseudomagills. I just wound up with some. And all of a sudden they're the newest, coolest thing, picking eggs out of mops and all that kind of stuff. So I thought if I get another rack over here beside that tank that has the pseudomagills in it, and I can put 10s and 20s up higher, but I could put the beta rubers in it and different fish that can be more at eye level and get my attention more. Nancy says she's off Thursday, Friday, and the whole week following. Well, there you go. At least we would come up, make it up for the main part of the event. We'll still have some fun left for you. But yeah, it's going to turn out to be a good time. The last convention that I helped set up was the Triple Crown, talking about oops moments. And I don't know if the hotel ever found out about it, but we were doing like water changes, and we had one of those, like, I guess it's like 50 or 55 gallon brute trash cans on wheels full of water, like that we had drained out of tanks as doing the water changes. And we were pushing it out of like the main showroom towards the exterior door. And we didn't think about it as we were pushing it. Maybe we were pushing a little too fast or something, at the wrong angle or something. And there was a small little, we'll say, threshold. It was like a trim piece on the carpet. And we hit that, and that whole 50, 55-gallon trash can of water just went over on its side. Water went everywhere. So we rushed to get vacuums and stuff to get it up, get it pushed out the door, and continue like business as normal. And that was a big oops moment. And we're like, okay, from now on, we're going slower. We're holding lower on the trash can. So I've tried to fit. I'm reading Cheryl's comment about laying on the floor, looking at certain tanks on the bottom levels, and I've been looking at different options because, like, when I get down on the floor to look at the bottom tanks, I want to stay in the floor for a while because getting back up is not an easy challenge. Because I've ruined my knees over the years, and so I'm like, and I don't know if they still do it. I don't think they even do it anymore. But like when I was a kid in school, we had those little, we called them scooters. It was like I don't think I have anything to actually show, but like a little plastic square that's like a foot by a foot with wheels on the bottom of it that we would like roll around the gymnasium floor on. I thought about getting something like that, like a little seat that's close to the ground that I could just sit on and roll around in here to look at the bottom rack. Like one of those little, what they call them, creepers or whatever that mechanics lay on to get under cars. Maybe something like that. Zen Ginger says she'll be running the Nancy tram and also be the liaison for the entire event. Contact her with your questions and concerns. I'm assuming we're talking about Nancy B. And she may be the unofficial contact for like native fish collecting or something too. I don't know. I haven't heard on that. In the room, Stephen asks about the. I'm guessing about the water spill. It was like we had the main showroom where all the show tanks were, and then there was the big hallway outside, like where the kid decorating contest and the tanks that were getting auctioned off where they were sitting. We were coming out of the showroom and hit a piece of trim between the showroom and that giant hallway where it went over. Both of the areas had that. I was going to say nice carpet. It's hotel carpet with the oranges and yellow swirls, all kinds of. So it was carpeted and most of it went on to a like tile foyer area right before the outside door. So it was easier to sweep most of it outside, but the carpet got a good washing. And Whip's come in. Welcome, Whip. Cheryl has a shop creeper in the basement, roll from tank to tank. And that's kind of what I had in my mind, was like something I could sit on or whatever and just roll around between the tanks to look at them at the bottom level and just get up when I have to. Because when I put some of these tanks as low as they are, I guess my mind thought I was 20. And some of my joints don't work as well as they used to because I didn't treat them well when I was 20. Oh, that's a good good idea, Zan. Sorry, I jumped in and started reading a different comment as I was talking about this one. Zen says get a library ladder that rolls on a track and affix a seat to the bottom. Yeah, and that way, I could step up to the top tanks because I have to have a ladder to get down if I'm going to like do maintenance or something inside the top tanks. But the comment that distracted me was from Jeff. Says I harness the power of old man noises to assist in getting up off the floor. And I always thought that like the old man noises that people make, that they were voluntary noises that people made to like get attention as they were getting up or whatever. But apparently they're not voluntary. They just happens. Curtis says I might bring some red shiners if anyone is interested in them. I think there's going to be interest in any type of fish that people could bring. I've had people say, oh, nobody's going to want this type of gudea or nobody's going to want convict cichlids or whatever. But I bet if you have them there and you don't, I've seen people like take convict cichlids and price them at like $10 a piece. And then why did nobody want my cichlids? Okay, if you have them at a reasonable price, they're gonna go. People are gonna want them. And see, Cheryl's already been tempted by the shiners. Cheryl got her creeper off of Amazon. But I'm gonna have to look. I don't know if the creeper itself would work. I'm playing around with different ideas in here as far as flooring and stuff. Like down this aisleway over here, like I got a little aisleway with tanks on both sides. I put like padded matting down so that, which I guess I wouldn't need it, but right now, like when I get down on the floor, I'm on padded matting because crawling around on the hard floor doesn't help the knees at all. So I don't know if the wheeled creepers and stuff would roll on the padded matting, but if I'm like seated when I'm moving on the lower level, I don't guess I would need the padding. So another oops moment that I've had is, and I've probably told this story before too, when I was doing a water change, added dechlorinator to a tank, and came back and all the fish are acting like, which if you've dealt with it before, you know what chlorine poisoning looks like. They were acting like they were having trouble breathing, that their gills were inflamed, like there was chlorine poisoning. I'm like, how are you all having chlorine poisoning when I used dechlorinator and treated the water and everything should be good? And I went and got the dechlorinator thinking maybe it was like bad expired or something, but I had just bought it, so that wouldn't be the case, but who knows what sits on the shelves. And I got it and looked at it, and it wasn't dechlorinator. It was a, I don't even remember the name of the product, but basically it was a flocculant to make particles in the water collect together and fall to clear your water. And not only was it not a dechlorinator, but the flocculants like that will pull oxygen out of the water. So not only were they getting chlorine poisoning, but they were also having all their oxygen pulled out of the water, so they couldn't breathe like that either. So that was a big oops moment. And because I had just bought it for dechlorinator, meant I didn't have other dechlorinator. So I had to like rush out and try to find a store somewhere that was open that had some sort of dechlorinator that I could get. Since then, since I had that oops moment, I keep multiple dechlorinators, which the fish room here runs on carbon block filters. So typically I don't use that in here, but in the tanks in the house, I have multiple dechlorinators on hand. And I also have the dried sodium thiosulfate, which I can mix up a solution myself for a dechlorinator, since where I live, they don't use chloramine, they only use chlorine, so that would neutralize it. All right, back to the comments here. Zen says, I think fish at auctions, especially event auctions, will always get more interest than at a LFS or swap, simply because of the diverse crowd that shows up and the type of person that goes to the events. Yeah, and besides auctions, like say at the Bluegrass Bash, I mentioned that the room sales. So like at the Triple Crown, people put stuff out on the doors with a list of what they got for sale, and people walk the halls looking at what's for sale. So if you've been to the OCA extravaganza, they do that there. Usually the ACAs they do, ALAs some, but not as often. But since we're having the ALA, the ACA both there, and I'm telling all of my local people here in our local club to take stuff and put it in their rooms to sell. You know, if you bring fish and put it in your room for sale, and then at least put a sign out your door, or there's going to be a bulletin board that you can pay a small little fee to put it on up in the main part of the hotel. The people will look at the stuff and see that you got a good deal and give you, stop by your room, give you a text or whatever. And you can, if you have it for the right price, you can offload, find homes for, whatever you want to call it, any type of fish that you've got. There's going to be a ton of fish keepers there, and their interests are going to span a lot more than cichlids and live bears and betas. Jeff says, I didn't realize I did it until one of my daughter's boyfriends said something. Her reply wasn't very... I clicked the button. Oh, there it is. Wasn't very polite. I clicked a button and I couldn't see... I couldn't see the chat. And Whip says, for me, I'm not a fan of auctions that take too long to get what you want, what you might be interested in. Give me a swap any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I like both, and for different reasons. If I'm looking for something specific, I like the swaps. If I'm looking for a random good deal, I like the auctions, because with auctions, you never know what's going to be there or who's going to bid on stuff. And a lot of times I've been to auctions and maybe there's just two of us that are into that type of fish or that want that specific fish that's there, and I can get it for a really good deal. Whereas at a swap, that specific fish, if I go to the swap looking for that fish, it's going to be priced potentially at a little higher price than what I could have got it at the auction. But I have a better chance of getting a specific fish at a swap because there's going to be a larger variety of people there that I could go and say, oh, I know this person deals in the rare live bears that I'm into, and go straight to their table and get first picks of what they carry, and just bypass the, say, Malawi cichlid table that I don't currently do any Malawi cichlids. And from a seller standpoint, if I'm selling, I prefer to sell at a swap if I'm looking to get money off of it. But if I'm looking to share the fish out to other people, I prefer the auctions, because auctions will help me get an idea of what the price is, what people in the area might would want to pay for that type of thing, and get them out to people. And then I like, there's benefits like at swaps also as a seller. I've heard people say, I hate selling at swaps because there's times when there's nobody there buying and it dies down really low and stuff like that. When I'm in a swap and the traffic drops down really low, I take that opportunity and I will go around to the other table and I'll start buying stuff myself. Our local swap, and I'm going to jinx it right now by saying this, I'm sure, but we've worked it where it's pretty busy all the way up until like maybe right at the last hour. And then it just kind of starts fizzling out. And which I like that because that last hour, people realize it's the last hour and I can go around to their tables like, all right, you don't want to take home this table full of guppies. You know, what kind of deals can I get? Whip says that makes sense, but I really can't do random. I don't have tank space for fish species, just a random fish to what I have. Well, that's where you need to get some 10s and 20s. And like Cheryl said earlier, you know, put some wild betas in some of them. And then in other ones, you put some, you know, small little guppies or something. Have the tanks there for the small fish. But seriously, I get it. You know, different people do different stuff. The big fish with the big tanks, that's cool too. And I debated when I was doing the fish room out here if I wanted to put some big tanks out here and get some big fish. And my original drawings, I had 125s on the outside walls, but I ended up just putting one 125 in here. And I've had some big fish in there for a while, but I've recently taken the big fish. I say recently, it's been probably 2 years now. Taking the big fish out, and I've went back to, we'll say, medium-sized fish. Some like electro blue caras and some roseline sharks and stuff like that. Whereas before I had like Jack Dempsey's and Oscars and what all did I have in there? Texas cichlids. But I've found that I enjoy it more with the smaller tanks, that I can have multiple different ecosystems going and a bunch of different little projects, like having the pseudomagills breeding and the rainbows breeding and the different killifish breeding, and I have their grow out tanks and trying for different lines of guppies, and then all of my limias that I'm trying to collect. So, you know, I am glad that different people like different things, because if everybody liked what I like, I wouldn't get good deals at auctions. And different people liking different things get the opportunity for people to keep the different fish, and there's fish that need conservation and education about those species at all levels. So that makes a great opportunity for different people to have that opportunity. Jeff Kane says, I'm on a reduction of types as well. I keep saying that I'm reducing. I'm cutting back on the number of tanks that I've got. I'm cutting back on the number of species I've got. And I come home with more tanks. I come home with more species. And I'm like, I've got more fish than I've got tanks. What do I do? These can live with those. And oh, you can live in a bucket for a while. But it's all part of the fun to me. But it doesn't want more guppies. Guppies are fun. Cheryl's asking Webb how the bait tank's coming. Webb has 7 standard 20s and 29 for grow outs in quarantine. There you go. That's a good start. And Curtis is asking what limias I'm looking for. So I am odd, and I know that I'm odd. When I get into a fish, when I get into a genus or something like that I'm like excited about, And I was this way with Amatelonias not too long ago, the convicts genus. I was like, ooh, I want to collect them all. You know, I go all Pokemon on it or whatever. I guess it's Pokemon. I never did Pokemon, but I hear people talk about it. So like I'm always looking for a new Limia that I don't have. And so like right now I've got the humpback Limias and the Perugiers, and they're breeding like crazy. My Tiger Limias bred and then stopped breeding, so I don't know what their deal is. So they're not breeding right now. I got the my brain is drawn up like the Cuban Limias from the Clash, and I've got them healed up and healthy and doing good now. They were struggling when I got them. I lost half of them within the first couple of weeks, but I've got them healed up, and they haven't started breeding yet. That I don't think. I've got them in with some guppies and other stuff, and I need to separate them out in their own tank to kind of get a better eye on them with what they're doing. And then I just picked up this month Limia. I almost said its name wrong. Limia sulfurosus. It looks like Limia sulfur, but I picked that one up this month, like maybe 2 weeks ago. So whatever I come across, whatever different Limias I come across, if they're not like crazy priced, I've seen somewhere they had them priced like $80 for a pair, and I'm like, okay, I'll have to wait and find those somewhere else because I'm too much of a cheapskate to pay $80 for a pair of fish right now. And Whip says, oh, and a 40 breeder that I guess will have betas in it. There you go. $310 Aquatics says my Tiger Limia stopped as well. And I don't know. I moved them to a different tank, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe I confused them or whatever when I moved them to a different tank, but they didn't breed anymore after that. After I moved them into that tank, and everybody else was like, "Oh, Tiger Limias breed like wildfires." Well, my humpbacks and my Perugiers are, but the Tiger Limias, they bred, and then when I moved them to a different tank, they just didn't like the new tank, I guess. So I might have to like move them back or maybe add some new stock to that tank or something. I think I've only got one male in that colony, so maybe he doesn't know what to do. Maybe he's not into the vibe in there or whatever. Nancy just made it home, so that's good to hear. Glad you made it home safe. Traffic around here has been crazy today. I don't know what. I guess where it's warm out, everybody's out and driving, and people don't know how to use the turn signals or to merge. Or there's been so many wrecks just today. They had to close the interstate in 3 places up 75 here locally just because of wrecks. It's been crazy. But Tata, that's the Cubans. My brain half the time doesn't think of things. Mexicali's here. Welcome in. And I don't know if you all noticed, I finally got around to putting the stream on Fish Fam link. I was procrastinating on doing it for a while because back whenever I was trying to stream before, I put it on there and then I couldn't do the streams. I got frustrated because it was on the calendar there saying that I was going to be there, and then I couldn't do it, and I took it off. So this time I didn't put it on there when I started streaming again because I'm like, I don't want to have it on the schedule and people looking for me and me not be able to be there. But so far I've been able to hit it pretty consistently with, I think, one exception. and it looks like I should do that for a while. And I think missing one every now and then would be acceptable to be on the calendar and miss every now and then. But I don't want to be on the calendar and miss like every other one because then what's the point? So we'll see how it goes. See, Nancy says the wild betas I want are. Shouldn't have read this comment because it has a scientific name I'm not fluent. Intuitus sounds cool. I don't know what it is. It's a wild beta, and I would like to get into more like wild betas and mock breeders and egg scatterers and stuff like that because I've been mostly live bearers and cichlids forever. So I like the idea of going for variety. I have successfully, and I'll probably ruin it by saying it, but I've successfully kept a group of Cori similus. I don't know if that's still their scientific name, and Igni Cories. I haven't exchanged them or moved them along, and I've kept them for months now. So that's an achievement for me with Cories. If you're into Cories, I've always got really bored with Cories as soon as I get them, and I end up getting Cories because everybody loves Cories, so I should like Cories too. And I've never really had a thing for Cories, but now I've the pygmies. I like the tank that they're in and how they set all together and all that kind of stuff. And the similus, I think I still have them because I don't see them much. They're in this tank over here that I use for like grow outs, and the pseudomcgills are in that's breeding. And I guess because they're growing out, I don't see them much, or because the other fish are in there swimming around and it's a crowded tank, I don't see the similus Cories much. I have mollies in that tank too, and they are like having a field day eating something on the bottom, and I have no idea what it is. Every one of them nose down and into the gravel eating something. Oh well, we'll figure out what it is later. Oh, Nancy says they kind of look like little snake heads. Yeah, the betas I think have that look, which is wild to me. Nancy's are in Jungle Bell and they hide a lot too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where these are hiding, but they're hiding in there for something somewhere. But when they come out as a little school, and they'll be like sitting on top of a rock or whatever. And maybe my problem with Cories before was I didn't watch them, or I didn't have enough that they would school, or maybe I just had the wrong time. But what I've got right now, I'm liking pretty good. And I may have to try some different varieties, or maybe try to breed Cories. And Cheryl's got a, looks like she's got a beta that she's looking for, and found them on a page. I've had fish that I've been looking for and like spent 4 years looking for the fish, and finally find them and get them and keep them for a while. And I always, like with that type of thing, if it takes me a while to find a fish and then I get it, I hate when I get it and then it's like, okay, I guess the appeal to it was just that I couldn't get it, and now I don't really enjoy the fish. I hate when that happens. It has happened a few times that I'll get a specific fish that I've looked for it, I'm excited when I find it, and then I get it and get it in the tank, and I'm like, okay, it's not what I thought it would be. It's not as appealing as I thought it would be. Let's see, Shirley says, I'm loving my beta something another and the something another babies. We'll just use something another for the scientific name I'm not used to. But I think killifish are my favorite. Killifish are another one that I get, and then I have it for a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm not a killifish person. I don't know why I bought killifish. I'll keep it for a while, and I'll get rid of them, and then a lot of times I'll wind up going to like a meeting, and a lot of times I'll see them at like the Nashville Club and wind up getting some there, or Lexington Club will have some come in, and I'll bid on the killifish there. I'm like, oh, it's a cool killifish. I got it. Awesome. And then a week or two later, like, why did I buy killifish? But I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 species of killifish right now. And I'm going to try to hang on to those and try to maybe get some eggs and breed those. I've bred the Gardner eyes before. And so I like sticking with the non-annuals that will breed in the mops, and you'll have to do the whole drying out thing. That's just too much work. Nobody's got time for that. Let's see. Cheryl says, I haven't told Ryan that the beta macrostomas are going to go in the 40-gallon shrimp tank soonish. Are the betas going in with the shrimp? Will they cohabitate like that? Nancy says, when I got my stir-by, I bought them from Elfish and bought a dozen. Corys are way more fun in the double digits than 6. That's why I want more similars to see if they come out more in the larger group. Maybe that's what my problem was, because when I would get them before, I would get, way back when, I would get 3. And then I started getting 6. But now I do have larger groups of Simulus and pygmies. I actually don't know how many Simulus I have, but they're neat to watch. I had some Palliatus that I kept for a while, but they didn't keep my attention very long. Skull says, I rescued a silver Brahmi. Turns out in a good tank. Rescued a silver Brahmi. Turns out in a good tank to be a beautiful 4-inch blue Brahmi. Trying not to get on the Brahmi path. I could see how that would happen. They're right there with betas. That's what I thought, Cheryl. Betas would decimate the shrimp. Set up new colonies with smaller tanks, though. Yeah. I used to really be into shrimp and have multiple tanks of shrimp. And I'm down to just a couple now. And I've been thinking about getting back into them and have multiple shrimp colors and types and stuff again. Nancy's wanting me to bring the Simulus to the Nashville Club for her. And when I get bored with them, they might make it that way. Or if I come around some more between now and the swap or something. I doubt I'll see any more between now and the swap, but because I got Lexington swap next month, and then shortly after that I got Nashville swap and Knoxville swap. So I got swaps coming up. Betas have always eaten shrimp, in my experience, Zen says. But I've only kept placotte and splendens, so I wasn't sure either. I've kept one splendens and same splendens as in the commercial pet store fancy fin stuff, not the wild type splendens. I kept one splendens in a 10-gallon, and I had a blue jelly shrimp in there, and kept the shrimp quite a while. But I'm sure that it was eating young ones, and probably ate some adults over time. Nancy says that she did sparkling gouramis in the tub last year, and Stephen has her looking at paradise fish this year. I'm really tempted to try paradise fish. I know there's some people down in Nashville that have bred paradise fish outside, and I've heard some people up here talk about it, and I'm tempted. I really want to do tubs good this year, at least a whole lot better than I have the past couple of years, because I've failed miserably the last couple of years. And those are one of the species on my short list to try. Nancy's saying that Steven's a paradise fish maker want to get a pond again, and he's a real influencer. Influencer, is that the word we're using? Influencer, enabler. He's encouraging us without even realizing it. And then Cheryl says, my paradise fish are disappointing me. I had them over a year and still my breeding activity. I just picking jumper up and putting them back in the water. Yeah, I guess that happens with different species also. It's like my tiger lemmias. Everybody talking about theirs is breeding like crazy. I'm glad to see, not that I'm glad to see someone else's isn't breeding, but I wish everybody's was breeding for them. But at least it's not just me having issues with them. I went through a spell where I couldn't breed guppies either, so my convicts weren't breeding, and I just not too long ago figured out why that was. They were all male. Let's see. Munoz Maven says, my long fin old man beta. I'm guessing that's pronounced Monet. Thinks he's vicious. He chases shrimp or small fish, but he's too slow. Well, it gives him some exercise. Oh, so Nancy, you bred the sparkling gouramis. Sparkling gouramis are so cool. I haven't kept them outside. I've had them in tanks, but I've never bred them. And Jeff says for Nancy to tub the black-banded sunfish. That sounds like a fun one too. Cheryl's putting sparkling gouramis outside. So Steven's not only an influencer, but he's an influencee. Okay. Steven's into the barbecue flavored Cheetos because of TikTok. Influencers are on there too. Cheryl says she supposes the female paradise fish could be sleeper males. That's a possibility. I've heard that quite a bit, and that's one of my things is I've never been good at sexing gouramis and that whole anabantoid family. So my luck, I would get all females or all males. Skull is headed down the gourami path. And I think it's good for all of us to dabble in different stuff, different types of fish here and there, instead of always getting stuck in just the killifish or just the live bears or just the cichlids. Dip your toes in the other areas of the hobby and, get experience with different things. I saw the question earlier about how many wild types of betas are there. And Cheryl comes back with a lot. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like, I don't know how many, but there's a lot. And I just got the notification that it's 7. Wait, where does time go? Unfortunately, that means I've got to go. I only got an hour allotted here for this stream, and I got a big long list of stuff I got to do afterwards. I spent too much time this weekend having fun with fish stuff, with the club meeting and all that. But Nancy says it's 6 her time. I wish I could do that. I try to tell people, oh, I'm learning on Hawaiian time, but that doesn't work so well. But thank everyone for showing up, having a great conversation, and hopefully, I know there's a couple of that you can't make to the Bluegrass Bash, but hopefully everybody else gets to make it to the Bluegrass Bash. We get to hang out there and have a good time. But until then, I'll see you next week, if not sooner. I plan on being back here at 6 o'clock next Saturday, not Saturday, Sunday, next Sunday. And we'll see you there. Thank you.